Good
morning. This morning I'd like us to turn to a passage in the book of 2 Kings. 2 Kings chapter 6. The book of 2 Kings comes after 1 Kings, for those of you who don't know. 2 Kings talks about, in this passage that we're going to study or look at this morning, we're going to look at the life of a prophet, a man of God named Elisha. And something which happened to him, which I think we can draw from, a lesson for us. Just to fill you in on what's going on before we start, the king of Aram had decided to wage war against the king of Israel. And so he was planning ambushes. But every time he would plan an ambush, Elisha would tell the king exactly where it was, so that the king of Israel would not take his army that way. And this happened not once, not twice, but every time. And so the king of Aram, understandably, is upset. And so he convenes a meeting with all his generals and leaders, and he says this. And I'm going to start from 2 Kings chapter 6, verse 11. Now the heart of the king of Aram was enraged over this thing, and he called his servants and said to them, "Will you tell me which of us is for the king of Israel?" One of his servants said, "No, my lord, O king, but Elisha the prophet, who is in Israel, tells the king of Israel the words that you speak in your bedroom." So he said, "Go and see where he is, that I may send and take him." And it was told him, saying, "Behold, he is in Dothan." He sent horses and chariots and a great army there, and they came by night and surrounded the city. So the king of Aram decides to send this great army to capture this one prophet of God. Verse 15. Now when the attendant of the man of God had risen early and gone out, behold, an army with horses and chariots was circling the city. And his servant said to him, "Alas, my master, what shall we do?" Now this is a natural response to an unexpected circumstances that we face. Anytime we face unexpected circumstances, it is natural to feel fearful, to worry, to feel anxiety, or to even be stressed. And so that's what this servant is feeling right now. He goes out, perhaps to get some water, and he sees an entire army surrounding the city. In the same way in our lives, when we face circumstances, it could be anything from a pop quiz that you're not expecting and you haven't studied for, to unemployment for someone in the family who brings home the paycheck, to even the unexpected of all unexpecteds, earthquakes. We tend to feel frightened. We tend to feel anxious. But let's see how Elisha feels. Verse 16, so he answered Elisha, "Do not fear, for those who are with us are more than those who are with them." Oh, really? I'm sure that went well with the servant. I mean, Elisha, what are you talking about? I know prophets are eccentric, but this is carrying it a little too far. What are you saying? The people of the city are going to fight against the army? Who is more? The servant cannot see. Elisha sees something which the servant does not. Verse 17, then Elisha prayed and said, "O Lord, I pray, open his eyes that he may see." And the Lord opened the servant's eyes, and he saw, and behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. Now wait a minute, I didn't know that the servant was blind. Why did he need his eyes to be open? Not physical eyes, but I believe the eyes of faith. To look beyond the physical circumstance into the spiritual. To look beyond the physical stand into the spiritual. And that's what Elisha had. And he prayed that. He said, "Lord, open his eyes that he may see." The same with us. Whatever circumstance you may be in, look beyond the physical into the spiritual. You see, God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. It doesn't matter in Elisha's time or our time. He is with us. 1 John chapter 4, verse 4 says, "Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world." So it doesn't matter. God will protect his children. If you are a follower of Christ and claim him as your Savior, nothing can happen to you unless he allows it. Nothing. So we have nothing to fear. Now we worship a big God, but usually when we come across problems or tribulations or things we don't expect, we look at it and if it's big, we worry. If it's little, we don't worry. But I think we should look at how big our God is. Our God is infinitely greater than the biggest problem you can imagine. Is he greater than a pop quiz? I think so. Is he able to restore that job which you lost or left? I believe so. Is he able to protect us through earthquakes? I believe so. So let's learn to trust in this God. Let's learn to look beyond the physical into the spiritual. We have someone greater than chariots and armies that surround us. We have the King of Kings himself, who's promised to send his Spirit to dwell in us. Remember that. Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world.